This is Q65 to Jamaica Long Island Railroad Station-Airtrain. This stop is 110th Street and 14th Avenue. Next stop, 110th Street and 15th Avenue. This stop is 110th Street and 15th Avenue. Next stop, 15th Avenue and 112th Street. This stop is 15th Avenue and 112th Street. Next stop, 15th Avenue and 114th Street. This stop is 15th Avenue and 114th Street. Next stop, 15th Avenue and 118th Street. This stop is 15th Avenue and 118th Street. Next stop, 15th Avenue and 119th Street. This stop is 15th Avenue and 119th Street. Next stop, College Point Boulevard and 15th Avenue. Transfers available to Q20A, Q20B and Q65 Limited. This stop is College Point Boulevard and 15th Avenue. Next stop, College Point Boulevard and 20th Avenue. Transfer available to Q20A. This stop is College Point Boulevard and 20th Avenue. Next stop, College Point Boulevard and 23rd Avenue. Transfers available to Q25, Q25 Limited and Q65 Limited. This stop is College Point Boulevard and 23rd Avenue. Next stop, College Point Boulevard and 25th Road. This stop is College Point Boulevard and 25th Road. Next stop, College Point Boulevard and 26th Avenue. This stop is College Point Boulevard and 26th Avenue. Next stop, College Point Boulevard and 123rd Street. This stop is College Point Boulevard and 123rd Street. Next stop, College Point Boulevard and NYPD Academy entrance. This stop is College Point Boulevard and NYPD Academy entrance. Next stop, College Point Boulevard and 31st Avenue. This stop is College Point Boulevard and 31st Avenue. Next stop, College Point Boulevard and Whitestone Expressway. This stop is College Point Boulevard and Whitestone Expressway. Next stop, College Point Boulevard and 32nd Avenue. This stop is College Point Boulevard and 32nd Avenue. Next stop, Northern Boulevard and College Point Boulevard. This stop is Northern Boulevard and College Point Boulevard. Next stop, Main Street and Northern Boulevard. Transfers available to Q19, Q20A, Q20B, Q25, Q25 Limited, Q34, Q50 Limited, Q65 Limited and Q66. This stop is Main Street and Northern Boulevard. Next stop, Main Street and Roosevelt Avenue. Transfers available to 7 train. Long Island Railroad. N20G, Q12, Q13, Q15, Q15A, Q16, Q17, Q17 Limited, Q19, Q20A, Q20B, Q25, Q25 Limited, Q26, Q27, Q27 Limited, Q28, Q34, Q44 SBS, Q48, Q50 Limited, Q58, Q58 Limited, Q65 Limited and Q66. This stop is Main Street and Roosevelt Avenue. Next stop, Sanford Avenue and Casino Boulevard. Transfers available to N20G, Q17, Q17 Limited, Q25, Q25 Limited, Q27, Q27 Limited and Q65 Limited. This stop is Sanford Avenue and Casino Boulevard. Next stop, Bound Street and Sanford Avenue. Transfer available to Q26. This stop is Bound Street and Sanford Avenue. Next stop, Bound Street and Beach Avenue. This stop is Bound Street and Beach Avenue. Next stop, 45th Avenue Bound Street. This stop is 45th Avenue and Bound Street. Next stop, 45th Avenue and Parsons Boulevard. Transfer available to Q26. This stop is 45th Avenue and Parsons Boulevard. Next stop, 45th Avenue and 149th Street. This stop is 45th Avenue and 149th Street. Next stop, 45th Avenue and 156th Street. This stop is 45th Avenue and 156th Street. Next stop, 45th Avenue and 162nd Street. This stop is 45th Avenue and 162nd Street. Next stop, 46th Avenue and 162nd Street. Transfers available to Q26, Q27, Q27 Limited and Q65 Limited. This stop is 46th Avenue and 162nd Street. Next stop, Pigeon Meadow Road and Laburnum Avenue. This stop is Pigeon Meadow Road and Laburnum Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and Oak Avenue. This stop is 164th Street and Oak Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and Metcalfe Avenue. This stop is 164th Street and Metcalfe Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and Booth Memorial Avenue. This stop is 164th Street and Booth Memorial Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and 59th Avenue. This stop is 164th Street and 59th Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and Horace Harding Expressway. Transfers available to Q17, Q17 Limited, Q65 Limited, Q88, QM4 and QM44. This stop is 164th Street and Horace Harding Expressway. Next stop, 164th Street and 65th Avenue. This stop is 164th Street and 65th Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and 67th Avenue. This stop is 164th Street and 67th Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and 67th Avenue. This stop is 164th Street and 67th Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and Jewel Avenue. Transfers available to Q64, Q65 Limited, QM4 and QM44. This stop is 164th Street and Jewel Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and 71st Avenue. Transfer available to Q64. This stop is 164th Street and 71st Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and 73rd Avenue. This stop is 164th Street and 73rd Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and 75th Road. This stop is 164th Street and 75th Road. Next stop, 164th Street and 76th Road. This stop is 164th Street and 76th Road. Next stop, 164th Street and 77th Road. This stop is 164th Street and 77th Road. Next stop, 164th Street and Union Turnpike. Transfers available to Q46, Q46 Limited, Q65 Limited, QM1, QM5, QM6, QM7, QM8, QM31, QM35 and QM36. This stop is 164th Street and Union Turnpike. Next stop, 164th Street and Goethals Avenue. This stop is 164th Street and Goethals Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and Queens General Hospital. This stop is 164th Street and Queens General Hospital. Next stop, 164th Street and 84th Avenue. This stop is 164th Street and 84th Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and 84th Drive. This stop is 164th Street and 84th Drive. Next stop, 164th Street and 86th Avenue. This stop is 164th Street and 86th Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and Highland Avenue. This stop is 164th Street and Highland Avenue. Next stop, 164th Street and Hillside Avenue. Transfers available to Q43, Q43 Limited and Q65 Limited. This stop is 164th Street and Hillside Avenue. Next stop, Parsons Boulevard and 88th Avenue. Transfers available to E&F trains. Q65 Limited, Q110, Q111, Q112, Q113 Limited and Q114 Limited. This stop is Parsons Boulevard and 88th Avenue. Next stop, Parsons Boulevard and Jamaica Avenue. Transfers available to E, J and Z trains. Q24, Q25, Q25 Limited, Q30, Q31, Q34, Q54, Q56, Q65 Limited and Q110. This stop is Parsons Boulevard and Jamaica Avenue. Next stop, Jamaica Avenue and 153rd Street. Transfers available to E, J and Z trains. Long Island Railroad, Airtrain. Q6, Q6 Limited, Q8, Q9, Q25, Q25 Limited, Q30, Q31, Q34, Q41, Q54, Q56, Q65 Limited, Q83, Q83 Limited, Q84, Q85, Q85 Limited, Q110, Q111, Q112 and Q114 Limited. This stop is Jamaica Avenue and 153rd Street. Next stop, Sutphin Boulevard and 94th Avenue. Transfers available to E, J and Z trains. Long Island Railroad, Airtrain. N4, N4X, N16J, Q4, Q4 Limited, Q5, Q5 Limited, Q6, Q6 Limited, Q8, Q9, Q20A, Q20B, Q24, Q25, Q25 Limited, Q30, Q31, Q34, Q40, Q41, Q42, Q43, Q43 Limited, Q44 SBS, Q54, Q56, Q65 Limited, Q83, Q83 Limited, Q110, Q111, Q112, Q113 Limited and Q114 Limited. This stop is Sutphin Boulevard and 94th Avenue. This is Q65 to Jamaica Long Island Railroad Station-Airtrain.